further 30 knots before lifting the nose wheel off to a max performance climb. Very useful, of course, when operating from airfields in what are known as contested environments where ground fire might be at risk. Yeah, absolutely. Another example of what is not just air show flying, but a tactical demonstration in this instance. Protection of the aircraft from ground fire will be contested areas. For 1100 shaft horsepower Europrop International TP400 turboprop engines. On this aircraft, the first flew towards the tail end of 2009, and of which a current 178 examples have so far been ordered, and Germany is the largest customer with 53 of them. So we've got the undercarriage extended now, 14 wheels and tyres, optimised to allow the aircraft to operate from unprepared strips at high weights. The A400 is sized between the C-130 Hercules and the Boeing C-17 Globemaster. However, it can carry significantly heavier loads than the C-130 and can use rough landing strips as seen here with the very vast array of tyres, low-pressure tyres in the undercarriage. In addition to its transport capability, the A400M can perform air-to-air refueling and medical evacuation when fitted with the appropriate equipment. The arrival of the A400M in Luftwaffe service enabled it to retire the twin-turboprop Franco-German Transall C-160 by the end of 2021, and they're now augmented in service by C-130J Hercules of a Franco-German binational air transport squadron at Évreux in France, one of which we've got here for the first time in the static park. Now accelerating in for a pass designed to simulate a visual check of a simulated drop zone at a speed up to 285 knots. The A400 has the ability to carry a 30-ton payload over 2,500 nautical miles to both established and remote civilian and military airfields, or by landing on short, unprepared and semi-prepared strips. The aircraft is also capable of operating at high levels, of altitudes up to 40,000 feet, which underpins its enormous range. The A400M can also carry 116 passengers, or 9 aircraft carriers with 54 passengers, or 66 stretchers, with a maximum payload of 37 tons. Reaching a maximum bank angle somewhere in the region of 60 or so degrees during this display, can attain a maximum of 120 degrees, which we've seen demonstrated by Airbus test pilots in the past. We have, but I think we might see angling bank up to about 90 degrees towards the end of this display. Very spirited from an aircraft of that size. The Luftwaffe first used its A400M in a combat theatre in July 2018 when they carried out a troop lift from the base for the entire fleet at Wunstorf to Mazar-e-Sharif in Afghanistan, and also Germany was the first user of this type to declare it operational in the air-to-air refueling role, because the A400M can also act as a tanker. Now, hopefully, we're going to see the aircraft establishing itself in a typical airdrop configuration on the next pass, with the rear cargo ramp open and the door, slowing the aircraft to around 115 knots. Capable aircraft is a natural successor for countries and air arms that operate in the C-130 Hercules. Now operated by Belgium, France, Luxembourg, Germany, Spain, Turkey, UK, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, and from next year, Indonesia. Well, the aircraft now entirely cleaned up with the ramp and door closed. And here's a demonstration of an impressive rate of climb, 35 degrees, nose up. And just kissing the clouds, there's the steep bank, but invisible, unfortunately, to most of us. What a show. Yes, in the tanker role, they've been undertaking some interesting activity. It's now a three-point tanker. In November 2023, the Luftwaffe received its first example with a hosed drum unit to be mounted on the rear loading ramp, adding to the two underwing pods that can be fitted underneath the wings. And this February, a Luftwaffe A400M carried out its first air refueling of some RAF Typhoons engaged in Operation Shader in the Middle East. The big advantage with the underwing pods is that you can air-to-air refuel two aircraft at the same time, thus minimising the exposure and the danger to the formation, in particular if you're close to or in a hostile environment. And of course, turboprop tanker platforms such as this, aircraft like the KC-130 Hercules, also capable of refueling helicopters if necessary. Yeah, absolutely. And from a fast jet perspective, they are the favoured option because the baskets are incredibly stable. The only downside is it takes the refueler to the top end of its speed regime and the receiver to the bottom end of its speed regime. Now, how about this for a landing approach? Setting the aircraft up in a steep descent, and we'll see a full stop landing aided by the powerful automatic brakes.